Good morning, Westbrook. My name is Jake Meyer, and I feel privileged to be here this morning and to share a few thoughts with you all on what Scott's going to come up and speak on in a minute. Sorry. As some of you know, I had the chance to... sorry about this. I had the opportunity to go to Cape and Ray Bible School in Europe this spring and spend 6 months there. And I feel like that place has sort of become part of the heritage of the Westbrook youth. It seems like we're sending a student or two there every single year. And it's a phenomenal one-year Bible school program that trains kids, students, to trains them in the Bible and equips them to go out into the world when their time there is done. And one of my highlights among many over that course of the 6 months was a 1 month span of time that we had between the end of winter school and the beginning of spring school. We had basically like a 5-week spring break that we got to just travel, and me and a few friends packed some backpacks and just went. And one of the coolest places that I feel like I went to was Athens, Greece. Just got to spend about a week there, hanging out in the ancient region of Athens and just spending time soaking that in. And it ties in with this morning because Pastor Scott is speaking on Acts 17, which is Paul in Athens. And I thought that coming up here this morning I could just paint, or do my best at least, to paint a picture of what was going on in Paul's life before he got to Athens. What were the events that led him to be alone in Athens? And it's exciting for me to do that because it's kind of a thrill ride chain of events that led him there. And if any of you have Bibles, I don't think there's words on the screen, but if you open up to Acts 17, we pick up with the Apostle Paul absolutely on the run from persecution in Thessalonica, which is in the northeast part of Greece. It says in verse 2, as his custom was, Paul went into the synagogue, and on 3 Sabbath days he reasoned with them from the Scriptures, explaining and proving that Christ had suffered and rose from the dead. Last week, Greg Marshall spoke on frameworks of reality and a human's tendency to close up when they hear something that they don't want to, and when they hear something that disrupts their framework of how things ought to be. And I know I can certainly identify with that. And I feel like as I read about the Jews in Thessalonica, they are a Class A example of a group of people not willing to be disrupted or challenged in any way. And because of that, they chased the apostles straight out of town and into a city about 45 miles west of Thessalonica called Berea. And Paul goes to Berea and again enters the synagogue and begins to reason again. And the Jews back in Thessalonica are so opposed to what he is doing that they actually hop on the road and head to Berea and again chase Paul out of town to the coast of Greece, and that's when Paul is escorted into Athens. So he arrives in Athens just completely on the run, nearly killed 2 different times in both Thessalonica and Berea. And I think that there's something absolutely fascinating about the Apostle Paul being in Athens, because you've got the great Christian apostle, the leader of the early church, showing up into a city that was at the time the intellectual center, the intellectual nucleus of the world, of the ancient world. I'm sure it was a place that Paul had read about or heard about ever since boyhood. He had never been there. But now he's sort of showing up on the grand stage, and where he's gonna be mixing it up with Epicurean and Stoic philosophers and all these these minds and these people who, as the scripture says, do nothing but sit around and talk about the latest ideas. And so I was really curious to see what Paul would do when he got there. And he begins to do probably what you and I would do. He walks around and explores the marketplace in the city, and what he sees in the culture of Athens, the book of Acts says, greatly distresses him and stirs his soul to do something, to speak out against it. And I'm excited to hear what he has to say, and that's what Pastor Scott's going to be addressing. So, thank you.